You are listening live to the Xtreme Movie Show special edition of Kickin' It. It's our fourth movie from 1991, Out for Justice, Steven Seagal. I'm Rob, your host. Guesting with me tonight, as always, is Dr. Venkmantine. Good evening, Doctor. How are you?
I'm doing great. Just took a little nap before, recharged myself. So
Let me ask you a question, Doctor, as people are starting to roll in here. Have you ever gone out for justice yourself?
no, but I've gone for takeout.
Well, this is the movie where they take out the trash because I got to tell you, I know you're not the biggest fan of Steven Seagal. I do enjoy him. While I think probably Above the Law, that first movie we covered of this 4-movie series was probably his best film, quote unquote. This one's probably the most entertaining to me. So, what did you think?
I thought they're. This is him just going full blown, like, where I'm Seagal. I get to kill everybody, do everything, but nobody can hit me.
Well, this whole thing, we talked about before the fact that he was different than everybody because he introduced his martial art that he's legitimately skilled in, Aikido.
Yeah.
And Aikido only works if people run straight at you, ninja style. So
Yep.
I'm going to give him a pass on that because, again, in this movie, he does a great job of demonstrating all the possible different Aikido disarming type techniques. And I think he just takes it to a higher level in this one, especially with all the meat cleavers and shotguns and everything else he uses.
The reason I bring it up because the bar scene, the bar fight scene. Right,
Which bar scene?
The one where he's looking for Richie, the very first one. He goes in there with all the guys, and Benny, Richie's younger brother, Benny's in there.
Uh-huh.
And they're in there. He's basically playing the tough guy. He's like, "Oh, they're all like, oh, if you weren't a cop and all, we cap your ass and all." So he's like, he takes a clip out of his gun, and then he's like, "You want this badge? Come get it." The dude, the one, he's like, guy's like, I work for the Don. And he's like, I don't care. You just punch him in the face, give him a broken nose.
Apparently, Steven Seagal, I guess this is when he started getting full of himself because he told Forsyth is in here. He's the bad guy, right?
Yeah.
And he's like, I think you really need to work on your Brooklyn accent. And Forsyth's like, yo, I'm from Brooklyn. You need to. And he's like, maybe you're right. Because the thing is he doesn't really have a good accent in here, but he has a good attitude, and the Seagal attitude just totally mixes with the whole New York, I'm just going to beat the shit out of you kind of thing there too. So I enjoyed it. But let's start from the beginning, because to me, we've talked about how the Chuck Norris movies got 80s intensified. We talked about how other 80s movies just went head over heels, jumping the shark, in a glorious 80s fashion. That's just a theme. Well, the opening to this movie is perhaps one of the best that's not an exploitation type film, blaxploitation, whatever you want to call it, because he's in the van with Richie or with his partner, and they're trying to get on this drug bust. And this pimp, I don't know who this guy is, but first of all, he's dressed fantastically. He's got like the red leather boots. He's talking all sorts of shit. He's got the custom shirt. He's got the long tie. Thank God it's not a clip on. He's got the gold watch. He starts talking all this shit to Seagal were like that, like, fuck you, man. I'll fuck your wife and I'll fuck you. And Steven Seagal just beats the shit out of him, but really he just basically just tosses him over his head through the windshield, and the guy's boots are just sticking out. But the best thing about it is the little camera shot that kind of pans to the hole in the windshield that you see with the guy's boots sticking out, and all you see is Seagal's head like floating through as he's walking by, and it stops, freeze frames, and it says, "Out for justice." It's fantastic. I mean, I might as well go home. The movie's not going to get any better than that.
It looks like the Hong Kong movie where it's like Steven Seagal in Out for Justice.
Apparently they wanted to do like 3-word titles because this was going to be something else. But yeah, you're absolutely right on here. So what jumped off the screen to you as you were watching this movie, just in general, besides the violence?
Besides the violence? Oh, they gave him more talking parts in this one. They give him more zingers, but I mean, it's just like I said, the bar scene is just like him just showing off, like, like, I can do what I want. I don't care, it just irked me more. I was like, he needs less lines, more action. he's not like Jean-Claude Van Damme, like he had the lines, in most of his movies. but he actually went and kicked him and stuff, punching, or he got beat up himself. But this whole movie is like he's just like you get the egotistical part of him is like, well, okay, that's cool. I understand you're the hero, but you can take a punch.
Well, he is a force of nature, and you just have to accept that's how it's going to be.
Can't
So
accept
in
it.
his way, he's not a superhero. He's just a super cop or a super bad dude or a super attitude guy. But what's pretty cool about this is a couple comments you had made before I'd written down. I'm looking at them. You'd mentioned before how you really liked the films we talked about, Above the Law, Marked for Death, that they were like shot on location, like in Chicago, like whether
Yeah,
it was the South Side or North Side or whatever.
this is Brooklyn, right?
Yeah, but yeah, I was gonna say, you said you liked how it was like naturally shot and how it looked really, really good. Well, this one I think was shot on location in New York City, and I think it's one of the few Seagal films that's like it, because there's not too many more of these before he turns into the VOD monster.
Well,
But it looks good. I mean, and just watching the backgrounds, you get a real good feel of like being in Little Italy or Brooklyn or just the Italian part of it. And I just thought the look of the film was gritty. It was disgusting. It was pretty spot on for its time.
yeah, I mean, I love when they actually show like the scenery, and not, you can tell it's not like a, they're in some time backstage backdrop. I
Mhm.
actually like seeing actual real locations, because I mean, for people who don't travel, I really don't travel as much. So I mean, and just getting to see the culture and everything, the way people dressed, the way people acted and stuff, and especially the earlier movies, because like, I was like 5 years old in 1990, so I mean, I really didn't see that much. We take attention to getting to see the people, this is the way they acted, versus today, because remember, it's just before cell phones. Well, they had cell phones, but they were like the little flip phones. Now everybody's got smartphones, so it's like, it's just, I long for the day when we don't have smartphones anymore. We go back to the normal phones.
Yeah, not going to happen, unfortunately. Because yeah, here, and you bring up an interesting point. I don't want to get too technical in, but that's, I think, an idea worth keeping in mind as we keep going through, like say on Top 10 Tuesdays, with the films like we're getting ready to go into. I think it's 88. If you had cell phones at the time, you might have had a similar thing happen, but it might have only taken a 5-second shot. Whereas here, it's a good chunk of the movie.
Mm-hmm.
Here, Seagal has to go through his contacts and everybody on the streets. And if you've ever been in a poor area or a shithole country or a city, you know that you have people that watch out. You have runners. You have a whole infrastructure that's dedicated to the eyes and ears of understanding what's going on around the perimeter. So underneath here in the Pine Hills Palace, I like to talk about how we've got the command and control center, how if we get an EMP disruption, we can just go analog. It's absolutely fine. We've got the German Shepherds, Max and Daisy, running around, and there's a German Shepherd in here too, by the way. Here he's got to talk to everybody. He's got to go see the mafia guy that controls the streets. So it's cool to see him just work his way up. It's not even really the mafia food chain so much as he respects what's going on the streets with the mafia. All he's interested in, and everybody knows what the score is. Hey, this dude killed somebody in front of his family. He's got to pay. We all grew up together. That's how it is for street business. And frankly, that element doesn't. While it may exist in real life today, it certainly doesn't seem like it exists in films. What do you think?
I it's kind of hard to say. You're talking about how it doesn't exist, like this culture exists in today's films. It doesn't. I mean, I agree with that. It's the way everything is done, shot now is like, it's just blah. It's like, it's the same, and then people are trying to copy what they did back then, but it's not, you don't get the same feel. I prefer watching, as I said, I always like watching movies from like, even from the 40s, you know, 40s, 50s, 60s.
Mm-hmm.
It's a whole different culture, whole different mindset. So I mean, you're not gonna get the same kind of feeling from a movie where people had more passion for movies back then. Now it's just like, well, we're putting out something for money, hoping you make $1 billion off a crappy product.
Yeah, basically, in this Seagal film here, the fight that you're talking about, the best thing about this fight is instead of taking on everybody one by one, there's a scene where he walks in and the guy comes in, and he's got the meat cleaver, and he takes it and he does his little disarm, but he whacks the meat cleaver through the guy's hand, and his hand is like stuck like above his head in the wall. But they shoot the rest of the scene as he's doing everything else, and you see this guy just standing in their background with his arm, chopped up, but chopped into the wall. And he's just sitting there yelling and screaming the whole time. It's absolutely phenomenal. It's a great scene. Um, you know, one of the lines I think that's pretty good in here is actually not by Steven Seagal. It's when he goes up to a guy and he's looking for information or whatever like that. And the guy's just staring at Seagal and he could give him 2 fucks. And he just says to Seagal, I see you still comb your hair like a girl, because he's got the ponytail going on. And now, you know, with all the hipster stuff that's out there, you know, you, God forbid, you mention anything about our guys here not looking anything semi-masculine or even 20 years ago kind of style, unless, of course, you had a mullet. Yeah, Christy Miller, laugh aloud, some Steven Seagal movie, the magnum opus of Steven Seagal called Out for Justice, a must watch. Eric Brain, I know you're more interested in Candy Gate. I can see that. That's cool. Jay, I'm sure, is enjoying a drink there too. But if you're ever going to enjoy a drink to a Steven Seagal film, I'm telling you, this is it. Because there's not one, there's not two. I think there's 3 bar scenes in here. Because then they have the big bar scene that you had already described, where he goes in there and he just beats the shit out of everybody. And there's a dude with a goatee that's great, where he walks up to him and he says, "There's 2 things stopping you from crossing this line: fear, common sense." And this is for Seagal. When he walks in, he's got the he's got the billiard ball, and then he just puts it, and he's beating the shit out of everybody, including sticks, which this is like his 4th movie in a row that he's been in, hitting him with sticks.
Right? And like he's swinging around. As soon as I know, I'm like, as soon as he put the cue ball in there, the white one, I was like, dude, someone's gonna get their teeth knocked out. Sure enough, that guy, the tattoo guy, he's like, "Yo, you knocked my freaking teeth out." And Skull's like, "I don't care." And he knocks him over again. He just goes through like a whole bunch of different people in the bar scene. And the thing is, they're all doing it one by one, which I hate. I like it when they all start, like, you know, going fast pace. This is kind of like a slow pace throughout, because like you said, the way he fights, someone has to run towards him so he can, you know, move out of the way and hit him.
It's true. I mean, it's like, you know,
his fighting style is weak compared to Chuck Norris.
It's different. That's what I'm going to say. And I think, but I still think they display it well, you know. And, you know, when he says, "Hey, you know, without your badge, you know, you're nobody," or like that. And he's like, "Okay, this is your badge. I'll set it down here. You get me, blah, blah, blah." And he just, you know, starts bucking the place up and everybody. It's a really, really cool scene. I see that Eric.
I saw that too. I saw it.
Made a comment to me that I need to address. He says, "Englentine is streaming. Isn't that like cheating on yourself?"
Yeah, he's doing the Disney live stream with Dalton, so we're not worried about it. He's suffering.
I will say this, Eric. I'm not a Disney fan.
Yeah.
Simply saying. I've got my thoughts about it, but I try to be positive on these streams. So, you know, if Seagal's body count isn't as high here as it was in, you know, the other films, I'm not going to get too upset about it. But, you know, I'm going to just point out what I enjoy about it, because it's about the power of positivity when we're talking about Steven Seagal films. Okay.
Yeah. And so, Chris, you can't listen to both. You have to choose one or the other. Choose ours.
Choose, as they say in the 3rd film of Indiana Jones. Choose wisely. Yes. No, she can do both. That's cool. That's cool. Yeah, so basically, yeah, he's out looking for this dude Forsyth, who's just a friggin' badass. He's probably he's the best bad guy in all Seagal's films to this point, to me.
I will say this though, Seagal is a great dad. He's like, "You finish your homework and you want to play ball with me?" He's like, "Sure, go get your stuff."
Well, there's a young Gina Gershon in here who is, shall I say, hot.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, and that's just doesn't mean me. If the women listening to this stream like Gina Gershon, that's okay too. I mean, I certainly, you know, understand people liking her.
She's good in every movie she's in.
Well, I don't know about that, but she's good to look at. So yeah, I guess you're right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So basically what it is his partner was screwing around with like 2 chicks. Forsyth didn't like it. He got butthurt about it. So he goes on a rampage because he's on crack. Because, as they would say in the 80s, besides Just So You Know, they would say crack is whack. So just remember, crack kills. And that was like a big deal. So this is the white person's version of what happens when crack cocaine infiltrates your neighborhood. In this case, Brooklyn.
Yep.
Yeah. So
he's in the bar scene. He's like, you know, where's he? And like, he's, you know, the bookie guy is like, you know, "You know about the cocaine?" You know, he's like, you know, and they're saying, "Blow up your ass," and all. And he's like, he just started losing it. Like, you know, he just started beating the crap out of everybody. It was just great. But I'm thinking, like, man, I wish if it was only sped up more. You know, because I've been watching the Donnie Yen films, you know, where they're a little faster. So once you get to
films, Sean Connery sped up films.
Yes, yeah, like that. But when it's just you get used to watching movies like at a certain pace, but when they start going back, it's like, what are you doing? Go back. It's so I don't know. I like fast action paced movies. Doesn't have to be all guns though. It could be martial arts. So,
Yeah. I think the neat thing about here with the Seagal film is like I say, Forsyth's a great bad dude. He takes an ass kicking like nobody else. Seagal's walking around with the gayest beret ever. I don't even know what the badge says on there. Literally,
I saw that.
a tough guy. I mean, he just beats the shit out of everybody.
I'm
But
like,
he's
they like
walking around with this woman, and the one scene in here at the end is early in the film. He's driving his car, and I guess it's supposed to be comic relief. Somebody throws something out the window. It's like a plastic bag, and he stops.
Yeah.
And he sees it moving.
it's,
Then he opens it, and it's a puppy.
like,
It's
what?
a beautiful German Shepherd puppy.
It's so random.
It is. I mean, this is obviously just putting. This is like the C plot of the movie, and then at the end or whatever, he's kind of like reconciled with his woman, and he sees the sticker on the car that he remembers, and the sticker is one of those like God, guns, and guts type stickers, and he's like, "Yo, fuck nuts," and he gets the guy out. You know who the guy is?
Oh, I can't remember. I can't recognize him.
It's Paulie.
Polly from. I have to go look again. What is he from? Polly from what? Oh, whoa, from Rocky?
Yes.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so basically he just beats the shit out of the guy, he ball shots him, and then they're walking off with the puppy on the boardwalk, and womp, 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 good movie. So we just wanted to basically talk about Steven Seagal's Out for Justice tonight, because nobody really has been giving a shit about Steven Seagal films, which, to your point, you didn't either, and that's fine, so I appreciate you doing them with them.
It's just so obvious that they throw a puppy in there just so he can go beat up somebody for throwing a puppy out of the car.
Well, they did that so
it had nothing to do. It had nothing to do with the story. He's like, we're just gonna throw a dog in there, you know, so he can have an excuse to beat the crap out of someone because he's a dog lover. It's like, why? Why is this in the movie?
Because dogs are cool.
Seagal hates cats. It's official now.
No, but really, it is a good film. It's entertaining. I understand the slow paced nature. Parts of it are fine, but I will tell you this: it's like payoff. You build up to it, and we had basically kind of discovered with the Chuck Norris films that you get a little bit of action early on, you get something about midway through, and then you get the big fight scene at the end. There was a payoff, and it was all about the build up towards it. Where it's today a lot of quote unquote action films, you almost get desensitized to them because there's no build up to them. And I'm going to use John Wick as an example. I'll also use an example. I watched the first 2 episodes today of a show that we may be reviewing soon here on the Xtreme Movie Show, and even though it's a TV show, I know a lot of people are into it this weekend, and that's The Boys. There's a scene where the guy's walking out of the store with this girl, and he's a complete dipshit, just dropping all these sense like, well, maybe if we move in together and blah, 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 and you're so passive and all that. In other words, shitty writing. It's even shittier writing because A Train speeds up, you know, however fast he's going, and just runs right through, which was shocking. Don't get me wrong, I think it's a good scene, but it's like, you gave me what, a minute, maybe 2 or 3 to potentially get somewhat emotionally invested in this girl. Don't even know her, and you fucking kill her off like that. That's weak sauce. That's not Steven Seagal weak sauce.
No, but it's like just so you watch throughout the rest of the series. You know, get past the first episode, it gets great. It's not really political as you expected. Most political shows are now in TV as to superheroes. They got to be tamed. This tamed down a little bit from the comic book series, but I mean, it's still great though.
It's just like somebody like myself that hasn't seen it, I can't really attest to it. I don't know how
the way I'll describe it
is, but how would you
like
say?
I would say it's before we went to the full SJW stuff. This is like 80s, like but when you saw why or youth restricted viewing, you know there's gonna be nudity in it. You know there's gonna be swearing. You know there's gonna be violence, gore and stuff. And this is what that is. The show. You're gonna get all those topics. Drug use, paraphernalia, all stuff. Extreme violence. That's what the show is about. I mean, because there's a dude, they're getting revenge on supers, corrupt supers. You know, no one's really done it before. If anything, it's refreshing to see that, and then the fact that they held true to the comic book. You know, they changed a little bit, but not so much where it actually like makes you not want to watch it. So I'd recommend reading the book though. If you can get a chance to read a comic book. The comic book is great. The guy who plays the Homelander, Oh man, he's much more evil in the comics than he is in the show.
I will say this, and I'll use Seagal since that's what we're discussing right now, is we've been talking about how we've got different types of martial arts and how they're being represented by different people. So we're going to be transitioning from this very soon to Jean-Claude Van Damme, because we both enjoy him. And we'll take it from there to, you know, some of these other films and actors as we see fit, as we see what kind of demand we have for it. The thing with Steven Seagal is that he obviously for about the past 15, 18 years is known for being a bit of a buffoon. He's older, so he's put on weight. He doesn't look trim like he did in these films. And even though he's legit with what he does and people like to make fun of him, it's become really, you know, trend for Seagal to just get made fun of, whatever. If he were to die tomorrow, people would go back and talk about these
Oh
films,
yeah,
saying, "Hey, he wasn't really that bad. If you check these out, these are pretty darn good." And they are
he's
actually pretty good films for what they are,
there.
especially at
There
the time.
there there are worse actors I've seen out. You know, it's just that he's more a martial art person. He doesn't seem like much, but he like when he does his movies, he doesn't seem enthused to be doing a movie. That's what comes out across the screen when you see Above the Law or you see this movie here. It's like he's just not really emotionally invested in it. Hard to Kill was much better a movie than this movie in my opinion.
Why is that?
He seemed he seemed more upbeat than that another one. He seemed like he more believable. This is like, and it's just like, you know, hey, you know, are you saying that you're a dick? You know, like, you know, this
He
is.
was a dick in this film.
I know, it's like, because, and then he has a beret even on top. It's like he's just trying to go full douche. I'm like, is that the character? Because it just seems like as he progresses more, his characters get more douchey.
Wow, wow. Well, overall, Steven Seagal, I think you like Norris more. Is that correct?
I like Norris a little bit better.
Okay. I think I probably do too for the films that we've talked about so far,
It's
but I do enjoy
it's
Seagal's films. They're not bad.
but it's not because it's because the movies they do. If Seagal would have done more like a different type of character, just being hey, I'm the bad guy, for his Ramon type, you know. Because look at Chuck Norris. Chuck Norris he did some great roles where he was the nice guy. He was the morally good guy, you know. Where Seagal's like, you know, I'm the guy. I don't care. I'm gonna do what I want, you know. Uh, that's the mentality he gives off. So if you like those movies, that's a great for that. Like I said, Jean-Claude Van Damme, he was kind of the same thing. Right? He was the kind of like Chuck Norris. He's
He's
gonna
a
be
hybrid.
yeah, he's the good guy. He's the good-looking good guy, you know, or he's gonna be the hero, be just, you know.
Well, my final thoughts are this, just basically to sum it up. It's a very good film. It's enjoyable. There's some really good action here. To your point, he's a dick in this film. I think you definitely get that. And so it may not be his best acting performance out of the four films we've covered, but it's definitely worth watching. And again, I will say this: like Chuck Norris films that we've reviewed, there's a template to them. You understand the template. If you watch him in order, you see his progress. You kind of understand and know what to expect. So that anticipation of going in and seeing this film, and just the way they up it just the right amounts from the previous film here too, really makes it seem like it's very crisp as far as a Seagal film goes. Again, I don't think you see it in a lot of films these days, and I was using The Boys as an example,
Yeah.
which I'm sure we'll talk more about later. So final
You-
thoughts from you?
I want to discuss the ending of this film where he finally finds Richie.
Oh, go right on ahead.
Oh man, this is like he comes in there and this is starting off where he's in the back room. He's walking through, and then like she shoots the dude's leg off. The one guy, and the guy's like, "You shot my fucking leg off." He says, he repeated it like a couple of different times.
He was in shock
I know, it's like
because the whole leg just completely comes off.
it's just gone. There's no blood spat whatsoever. and I believe that guy's a notable actor. I mean, maybe I was just watching a bad version because it wasn't clear. I was watching a YouTube version, but I'm not gonna say what his name, but anyway, focusing on he just that guy. So anyway, moving on from the guy. That guy's repeating like, "Oh, this is all." Seagal this, so he doesn't care. He just walks away, no reaction. He just keeps walking down the hallway. It comes across the guy tattooed, the guy.
Yep.
And he goes in there and he pulls a guy out, like he reaches through like they like little railings, like see on your stairs, like old fashioned 80s, the railings, they only have the little pegs. He pulls a guy through it, and then the guy's like, "Fuck you, pig," like, and he basically, I think he kicked or punched him, but the guy landed, hit his head on the back of the brick wall, and he's dead instantly. But then he finally comes across Richie, and then Richie's like, he's like, because they both shoot. One goes, he's in the bathroom, so they both shoot each other. They both miss each other. I don't know how they miss each other. Richie's sitting on a toilet. How did he miss him? Small little bathroom. So anyway, they come on. He's like, that's no matter. He's like, Richie's like, I love pain. So then the next 5 minutes, who's getting all the pain? Richie.
He gets his ass beat down
and it comes like it's like a comedy routine. He picks up everything he can to go against Seagal, and Seagal's like the Terminator. He just stops it, blocks it, and hits him with it.
And fryer pants him right upside the goddamn head. Oh, that's awesome.
The knife, then he had the rolling pin too.
Yep. He just kitchenates him.
It's just like, man.
Yeah, it's pretty good. It's weird for me right now to say at this point we haven't gotten into JCVD in the 1990s movies, even though this is 91. I miss somehow having a template to kind of go by so you understand what's going on, and that might be worth discussing a bit more on Top 10 Tuesdays. Yeah, so for the people listening, just so you know, we tweeted it out. We're going to stop here in a moment, set it up. We're going to be doing a Rutger Hauer, just kind of take a look at his career, a couple films that we enjoyed, some things about him. We're going to be doing that here at about 8 o'clock, so be looking for that. Jay, I know you're going to be asleep. We like Rutger Hauer on this show. He's definitely extreme. He's done some really good stuff. We're not going to talk about everything he's done or anything, but we want to just kind of talk about him since he recently passed at 75 there too. The Great Dane, as some people might say. So any final statements, any comments, anything you want to plug there?
I just want to say that I look forward to the next stream. Rutger Hauer, man, what an actor! I mean, he not so much. I mean, the last thing I saw him was True Blood, but I was surprised to see him, because I thought he was in acting. So
no, he's done a crap ton of stuff.
Yeah, he does.
Sci-fi stuff, the Candle Code series, where he did Butcher's Block. That's the last thing I saw.
I mean, to me, Blade Runner and The Hitcher or either it's called Hitch or Hitchhiker. Those were my two favorite movies by him. I mean, you just seeing him when he plays the cold, ruthless villain, that's great. So seeing him in True Blood being like a hero, a good guy, I was like, man, this is so what a character for me too. Plus he's older too. He gained more weight. But I mean, it's like, man, those movies where you're like, if I ever came across him, you shit your pants. I don't care who you are. Rutger Hauer in The Hitcher, the way. So
I'm trying to think if there's somebody like a Rutger Hauer that's alive today, and that's one of the things I'm going to ask E when he gets on, assuming him and Dalton don't take forever on the Disney stream. So for the doctor, myself.
Well, if they take, I was gonna say, if they take forever, we'll just bring Breen on.
Brain, if you're interested in that, let me know. I'll send you the new link offline, through Twitter or whatever. So that works. Okay, cool deal. Out for Justice, Steven Seagal, 1991, movie 4 out of his collection.
Oh, yeah.
These movies are as good as the Chuck Norris ones, as good as JCVDs. So there, we've covered Steven Seagal. Now we can move on to the stuff we really want to.
And Breen also brought up Nighthawks. Yes, he was in that too. He was
He
just shot the woman. Threw her out the window.
Okay. All right, guys. For Doctor, from myself, everybody, have a good night. And as always, what do you like to say, Doctor?
Stay extreme.
Extreme. I'll send it to you, Eric. Just be on the lookout for it.